trench and fire your proton torpedoes when you're within range of the exhaust port.
Alright everyone, welcome. My name's Dayman. I'll be here playing Rogue Squadron 2 this afternoon. I hope you've all been having a great weekend of Star Wars speedruns and races, etc. We'll have plenty of time to talk more as we go, so we might as well get this show on the road. So I'll count us off in 3, 2, 1, go. So this drops us off right at the Death Star attack in New Hope. And like many of the levels that we have in this game, it's in a few different phases. First phase, get rid of these towers. And I can fire a few proton torpedoes to help that along, but I can't fire all of them. If at any point I get rid of all my proton torpedoes, I instantly fail the level, because even though I have more lives and I can die to refill them, which I will be doing soon, the game's like, well, you can't destroy the Death Star if you don't have a proton torpedo. That's what the movie says, and so you instantly fail. Non-ideal. I am going to crash on purpose to refill my missiles for just that exact occasion later. And then we have our first little demonstration of TIE shooting. And the golden rule of TIE shooting in Rogue Squadron 2 is shoot the leader last. Every formation has a leader. It is generally the lowest, centermost fighter in the group. And when you shoot the leader, the rest of the squadron scrambles. And that introduces horrible RNG. We don't want that. We want to be able to kill them as consistently as possible. So I'm going to shoot the leader last. You may have noticed that I missed one, and that's not good. Hopefully my wingmen will pick them up, but that's not going to happen. So instead, I will. Oh, I missed two? That's not good. There he is. I actually did not know that I missed a second one. That's unfortunate. I guess we won't have a world record today. I don't even know what the second one I missed was. That's kind of odd. Anyway. So then we have the trench. Now, when we're in the trench, normally the game would want you to be cautious and go slow and not hit stuff. But I'm not going to hit stuff, so I'm just going to keep the wings closed and I'm going to go for it. Now, there are optimal things that we can do, but in marathons I generally like to show off the safe strat for the trench, which is really interesting. Now, normally what game wants you to do would be to slow down and have each wave of TIEs pass in front of you, you shoot them, and then you speed up, and then the next wave comes by, and you just keep repeating that. Obviously, that's really slow, so the fast way to do it would be to just go and hope you don't get shot. But we have this strategy. By crashing in this spot, that first wave of TIEs is still on the screen, but we're behind them, which means that another wave never spawns in, because the game's designed to spawn in the new wave of TIEs after you kill that wave, and so we can just cruise all the way to the end. It only loses like 2.5 seconds over playing it optimally, and in return, it's basically 100% guarantee that we're not going to have to worry about anything. So obviously you wouldn't do this in PB attempts necessarily, but it's really good for marathons. You don't have to worry about getting shot in the trench. Normally we would have to bob and weave a little bit, but this completely takes that aside. I mean, when I do runs for this is when I would have a sip of coffee or something, because you don't even have to worry about it. And I used to think that I'd have to move over to the side of the trench in order to have Vader not shoot me, but then I realized that he won't. So
you're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
So I use an audio cue to time my missiles so that it spawn, they hit right as soon as I can hit the endpoint. Okay, we're good. Don't hit split. Don't hit split. Okay, good. Not bad for getting lost. Missing that tie. And not doing optimal trench. Ice on Corridor is probably the purest level that we have because it's just TIE shooting. But we can do a lot of things to make it very consistent. Like lining up against Space Junk in the background and listening for audio cues.
Look, enemy fighters approaching from all directions. We're surrounded. I copy, Wedge.
Again, trying our best to shoot the leaders last. And that time I sent my wingmen after the ties. That's not because I want them to shoot the ties, that's because I want them to not shoot the ties. They're so bad that sending them after the ties decreases the likelihood that they get in the way. That's 100% true. And also, if I miss one like I did, then they'll actually go around and attempt to clean up my mistakes. Let's see if they do. Oh, and they did. Optimal. More audio cues here. I know the spot in the music that I need to open up my wings so that those are exactly in range. There we go. Nice and easy. Now, with this next segment, it's very hard to see, and they normally would want you to switch to your A-Wing and use the targeting computer a lot, and I'm not going to do much of either of those. More audio cues. And then just being good. Precise turn here. We're going to shoot them in a particular order. That's bad. Well, okay, again, we're not going to world record today. But that's okay. Everything was going fine, and I was going to show you a really cool little setup, but I died. So, unfortunately, dying is bad, and it loses a lot of time. Other than that, everything was cool here. Not the worst Ison of all time, but not exactly what you have in mind. Hoth is another level that I think really encapsulates all of the different elements of things that Rogue Squadron 2 has you do. Shooting ground targets, shooting ties, and something special. In this case, the something special is using the tow cables to trip AT-ATs.
Awaiting your orders. Okay, guys, let's form up.
Also, I haven't mentioned, this category is using all of the standard ships in each level with no upgrades, which means that things are effectively have a little bit more health, and I have no homing missiles or anything like that. This is effectively simulating playing from a fresh cartridge, but with cutscenes skippable, because we don't want to deal with cutscenes, we're speedrunners. We're going to do a quick little death warp here. Now, this moves us forward a little bit, but even more importantly than that, it also gives me a fresh boost, because every time that you spawn in with the Snowspeeder, your boost gauge is already full, so it moves me forward a little bit, and it gives me a little bit of a boost, which lets me get up to this first AT-AT. I am grabbing a specific leg here, because the leg that I grab and the direction that I am spinning determines where my respawn location is, and I want to make sure that I respawn closest to the second one that I need to trip, which was over here, and I got a really weird respawn. But it was still good. I just didn't adjust fast enough because it was a really odd angle. If you're between legs in a weird way, you can get a weird respawn like that. And this one, I grabbed the back left leg, which is not the best, but it's not the worst. So I'm going to have to spin a little bit in order to get to the third walker in the best possible time. Again, not the worst possibility, but, you know, we're doing alright still. Then, the last segment of this one is just shooting TIE bombers. Nothing too fancy there, but we do have to switch to the X-Wing. It is like a big metal camel. That's what I always call them when they ruin my runs. Big, dumb camels. We have to switch to the X-Wing. You kinda don't, but if I want to do this in a reasonably quick manner, I need to be able to fly a little bit higher and shoot a little bit higher. The Snowspeeder has pretty substantial restrictions on its altitude and angles that it can fly at, and its lasers aren't that strong, and its lasers aren't that accurate, and it doesn't have a useful secondary weapon. So all good reasons to switch to the X-Wing. Oh, and if you don't switch to the X-Wing, you have to wait longer for them to fly in. So even though you technically don't have to switch ships, there's literally no reason why you would ever want to stay in the Snowspeeder. And making sure we get the leader last, as always. Leader's always in the middle. Okay, good bomber segment. A little bit scuffed earlier, but
Great job, row group.
this is all good. And then, unfortunately, we are approaching the least exciting level overall, which is Prisons of the Maw. Prisons of the Maw is effectively our auto-scroller, but there are some things we can do to make it a little bit more interesting for us. Namely death warps. There's some death warps that we're going to try to hit to do our best to save as much time as we possibly can, which anytime you're in the slowest ship in the game is of a very high priority. Unfortunately, this is also an auto-scroller that wants to kill you, because all of these rocks are RNG. We have no idea what their other spawning locations are going to be, or when their direction they're going to be flying at, how they're going to be spinning. So I have to really be on my toes and try my best to not die, because, again, I have 2 death warps and only 3 lives. If I do take a death, I have to skip a death warp later, which wastes a ton of time. Now, if this were like a PB attempt, I would probably be counting distance traveled with the radar, because you can just count units on the radar to see how far I've gone, so I know when I'm hitting the next trigger point. But I'm going to play it safe and just use an audio cue. For example, I know that I'm far enough at this point, so I'm just going to crash in the nearest rock, and we're good to go. Hi, Jail. So. So I have to, again, not die. Not dying is good.
Go after the fighters. Copy, rogue leader.
Jesus, oh my god. See, this is why it's like the most stressful auto-scroller of all time. I can't do a lot to go faster, but I can do a lot to die and lose everything, so.
Maybe I should switch to my ion cannons.
Oh. Alright. We're focused, we're good. First death warp successful. The rocks are targeting me. You're right. And I just have to disable any 3 of these. I can use the radar to know my position. I'm going to count 7 spaces up from here. 1, 2, 3, and that'll put me in position for 5, 6, 7. And now I'm in range.
2 more to go.
Go to 1, 2, 3. How did that miss?
1 more to go. General Riken, rogue leader.
That was a weird miss.
Did you manage to get through? Yes, sir. We're on our way.
I never missed the second one. It's very odd. Anyway, we're gonna do a new strategy. We actually have a new approach to this, the first set of towers that just came out a little over a year ago.
Standing by.
It saves a little bit of time, but it requires a little bit of careful shooting.
Hurry up and destroy those guard towers.
Two more to go. 1 more to go.
Alright, we got it.
We've freed the other prisoners.
Oh, Captain Antilles, we're so glad that you're here.
We need
Using this targeting computer is something that I found very unintuitive as a child, as did many others, but I promise you it's actually the easiest thing ever, and I have no idea why I was afraid of it.
1 more to go. We're armed and ready to go.
Second death warp.
Take out the communication relay.
Let's crash into this mountain. We're in this dark spot here. And this does 2 things for us. 1, puts us very close to our next little area that we need to blow stuff up, but also, as you see, fully restocks all of our bombs, which is great because this takes a lot of bombs to kill, and otherwise we'd have to fly around and wait a long time in order to have enough to be able to clear all this out. Each of them takes 2. There's a fair number of them.
The hangar. Destroy the Imperials guarding the hangar.
Now it's just don't die, because again I'm on my last life. And rare instance of me shooting a leader on purpose, because it gets him to scramble a little bit. And then we're just cruising all the way over to the end, blowing up the last set of turrets, and then that's the end of the level. Unfortunately, there's nothing else we can do to really speed this up. And unfortunately, there isn't a better order that we can do these things in. If you do things out of order, it doesn't progress the train that's going along the level enough. We always joke that this level is literally and metaphorically on rails, because the whole last phase that takes up a bulk of the time is waiting for this train to go around to different locations, and it won't go to the next spot until you clear the spot that it isn't previously. So, unfortunately, that's the best we can do.
One more to go.
And now I just stay alive. In the meantime, everyone tell me your favorite level in this game. Does Rogue Squadron have that weird health recovery like Rogue Squadron 1? It does, and it is very difficult to hit because the frame window for it can often be very, very small if you take an additional hit. And it only works in some ships. Did I get the heist, cliff, crash, death warp lineup consistent? Yes.
We're almost clear. Just hold them off a little longer.
Do I remember the setup? Completely separate question, but yes. I did find a consistent setup. There's a clip of it somewhere.
We need help!
I figured it out back in January, and I have not run this game since January. I agree, Heist Academy is super fun, and it is a reason why speedrunners always have to check the time on their GameCube clock before we start. Otherwise, we have to do the whole mission in the Y-Wing. And yes, I did remember to check. So, we don't have to do Y-Wing Heist today. Day Heist loses 12 seconds over Night Heist, because the only difference between the two missions is you have to use a slower vehicle.
That's it.
Though the Death Warp in
We're clear.
daytime is completely free.
Thanks for the
It's
help.
very, very easy.
Let's get out of here.
Alright, this next level is Blink and You Miss It, so hopefully we won't have time for me to describe it much in detail. Normally, the game wants you to go back and forth between working on killing the Star Destroyer and protecting the medical frigate, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to break the Star Destroyer, because it turns out that's all you have to do as long as you're fast enough.
What the?
Series of audio cues here. Oh no, focus.
Awaiting your orders, Wedge.
Rogue leader, this is the frigate. We're under attack.
They're going after the frigate. We've got to protect the frigate at all costs. One down, two to go. Good job. Now let's take out the last one underneath. That does it for the shield generators. Now let's...
There we go. Easy. You don't have to fly around and help people. Just blow it up. Works every time. Okay. Now, everyone's favorite level. And by everyone's favorite, I mean the level that has plagued the speedrun for nearly a decade. It's more consistent now, but it's rough.
Formation. Copy,
So
Rogue
the
leader.
first 3 minutes of this level is basically just prep work. You have to kill all the TIE fighters, but then everything after that is just making your life easier for phases 2 and 3. And there's a lot of things about this that are very unintuitive, such as leaving some TIEs alive, because you don't want... if you kill them too fast, then you actually lose a little bit of time. You loved it casually too? I mean, most people actually do love this level casually because you get to do so much stuff. Where's that interceptor that I missed? He'll find me.
Attack the fighters. Leave it to me.
So,
Rogue leader, we need support.
kill these guys. And then we're gonna start shooting stuff on the ground as well. Taking a death here is actually completely fine. That doesn't really matter. Just don't die 3 times.
We've detected increasing heat levels within the core of the Star Destroyer. According to our readings, the reactor will go critical in minutes.
Okay, so that's all of the ties. So now we're going to start getting rid of some of these guns. It's going to make our life easier better, or later. I'm actually going to leave those 3 alive for reasons.
Can't get any closer without risking the transport. We've got to land. Nice work clearing those defenses.
I got a few more seconds. I can take out a few more. Ideally, I'd get all these, but I don't want to do anything too risky. I'm already down a life.
Take out those guns.
We're doing okay.
We're shutting down.
Position ourselves appropriately so we can immediately get into the next vehicle.
It's gonna take some
All right.
to bring them down.
Now, this is the part that actually matters.
Land by the transport to switch craft.
So I'm going to try my best to not mess this up. It's very, very difficult, though. This is maybe the hardest segment in the entire run in terms of time save versus effort. We want to grab specific legs on the specific walkers, just like we did on Hoth, but this time it matters a little bit more, because we need to get to the 3rd one at the correct time and angle, so that his head doesn't get in the way. So we're going to swoop around this way, grab back left leg here. Not too early and not too late, because if his head ducks down and gets in the way, it breaks the cable, which is especially a problem for the 3rd one that we're about to get. So we're going to loop around this way and go under the chin. Oh, he looked down. That's a shame. We'll lose a little bit of time here, but it's okay. So not the fastest, but the 2nd fastest cycle, because he looked down. It's very, very difficult. You actually have to keep him off camera and approach at the right time and the right angle in order to make sure that he's aiming up. Another thing that can help sometimes is to aim, to have your wingman go after the TIE fighters. It's not 100% foolproof, but it does help a little bit. I probably should have done that just for the sake of the consistency, but I kind of want to make sure that they're going to be alive for this segment too, so not a huge deal. Again, we're losing a few seconds, and this is not really a speed run as much as it is a demonstration. I would have already reset 5 times, so you can break the hull early to hit this dark spot, and that's all you need.
Perfect hit. Another hit like that and we've got it. Hull penetrated. That did it. The hull is break.
I'm gonna die here and refill my bombs.
Imperial ground forces approaching.
Okay,
Retreat. You've done all you can.
cool. So, we gotta make sure that we kill all these dudes. And then the most unintuitive part of any level in any game is you need to keep these guys, these troops, nearby and on camera, otherwise they slow down. So we actually are going to do little loops, and in these loops we're going to make sure that we are clearing all the ATPTs, because we don't want them to get too close to the shore. If they get too close to the shore, that slows them down. If these turrets shoot at them too much, that slows them down. If they go off camera for too long, that slows them down.
Assistance.
One last group, that's fine. Keep them moving. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we got one last group in that back corner, which is not a big deal. Okay, now we just
Go after those ties.
send the wingman after the ties and hang out. Do not die. Do not get hit by anything dumb. Do not try anything stupid.
Need some support
Just
down
keep
here.
on flying. So a few things that lost us a little bit of time, but overall this is not a bad accomplice. The first death didn't matter. It's mostly just the head of the one dude getting in the way. And then this segment, it's fine. And there is nothing I can do at this point to really speed things up other than making sure that they stay on camera and out of trouble.
The reactor's getting more unstable. We gotta hurry.
Had I been able to clear off all of the turrets ahead of time, like I was shooting at in the first phase, that would have saved a few seconds here and there, just because it decreases the likelihood that the troops are going to slow down for some reason.
My team's in trouble.
But it's not like, oh, if you kill X turrets, that saves X seconds. It doesn't really work that way. It's just probability of problems goes down if you're able to reduce kind of any of those extra chaotic elements. Cool. That's Conflict, the longest level in the game by quite some margin. And now we go into the aforementioned sneaky level where we have daytime and nighttime. So nighttime saves 12 seconds because you get to use the speeder instead of the Y-wing. And in this segment, we need to be very careful not to fly too high or too close to the sensors. But because you get a warning system where they warn you twice before they kick you out of the mission, you can actually use that as effectively as a kind of a damage boost in order to get over a narrow section of the canyon
Too close to their sensors.
and skip a sensor check.
Wedge, we gotta keep low.
So I'm going to jump over here. I get my first warning, I get my second warning, but I don't get my third warning. Because by the time they would want to kick me out, I'm past the sensors altogether. There's only one spot in the canyon where you can reliably do that. I'm actually not going to go for the Death Warp right now. I'm just going to fly right at this.
Fighters. Can't let those pilots reach
Take
their
a few
footing.
seconds back up.
Take 'em out,
And
they're still on the ground.
gives a better
They're coming
visual
for
of what this level's doing. Because right now, as we approach this, you can see the four turrets straight ahead. And the one closest to me, this front left one, my left, is the most important one to take out. Because that's the one that's going to be absolutely blistering the shuttle with lasers. So we're going to take out like 3 of these just to be safe. And then, by doing that little corner cut, you'll notice my radar's broken. And that's because the game freaks out if you don't finish the trench properly. And it actually, if you were to pause and look at the mission objectives, the game thinks, I'm gonna die. That's really funny. Don't die. The game actually thinks it's daytime right now. Okay, we're in the clear. Not by much, but we're in the clear. It would say disable sensors instead of evade, which is really strange. But as a result, I can just look at the skybox and I know where I'm flying. .202 is nice, especially without the optimal strats. Bestman is a really, really cool speedrun level, so we have a manipulation in order to basically skip a massive chunk of this first phase,
Awaiting your order.
which I'm going to try to do right now. We fly to the last platform. Normally the game wants you to go to each platform, clear it, go to the next one, but you can go straight to the last one, and as long as you do the right stuff, it works out really well. So let's do our best. You gotta get there at the right angle, and you're gonna eventually manipulate the TIE fighters into flying into the gas canisters, trying to chase you. Which is also foreshadowing the next level. But if you do it right, you basically skip everything and go straight to phase 2. So I'm going to boost here, make a left, staying low here around the edge of this platform. Fly all the way to where those canisters were, fly underneath this platform, fly towards these guys and shoot them, and hopefully... Oh, my angle is not so good. Unfortunately. Too slow behind the other thing. So we're gonna lose a few seconds here, but it's okay. But regardless, even though we didn't instantly end it, that is so much faster than playing the level normally. So now we just have to get rid of all these generators. And fortunately, I know exactly where they all are, and I'm actually going to look at the map in order to know when to turn and what to do. So aim at the little Y, and that sets us up perfectly for this one. Took a little bit more damage in that first phase than I normally would like, but it's okay. I don't think I'm running too big a risk of getting hit. Even if I do, it's not the end of the world.
The last generator is history. Now save the gas platforms.
We have to kill a few of these bombers.
Forming on your way.
Now the A-Wing has the worst lasers in the game. They are inaccurate, and they do little damage, which is a hell of a combination. Yeah, I'm gonna get destroyed. That's fine. But it spawns me right back in where I was, so, like, it's not a big deal. And the last one, there it is. Cool. Alright, 2 levels left. And probably the 2 most infamous levels in the game.
Great job.
So, a very dangerous level that ruins a lot of people's days, but done well. This is probably one of the flashiest, coolest levels in the game. I'm going to do my best to demonstrate such a thing. So normally the game has you fly forward until you find out, oh, it's a trap, but you can skip to that just by flying backwards. So we're going to do that, and that spawns in a whole bunch of these TIE fighters, and that's a problem. Some of these TIE fighters are going to chase us, and they're going to chase us no matter what, which is very convenient because we can make them crash. They will chase us no matter what, including if there is a massive ship in the way. So listen to all that TIE crunching.
Engaging fighters.
And we are going to do our best to avoid this.
Break right. R5, see what you can do. Watch out.
And I want as many of these TIEs gone as possible, just because that reduces the likelihood that an errant TIE is going to crash into me. And the reason that's bad is because we are going to be doing a couple of quick kills on the Star Destroyers later, which is going to require lives. This is your favorite level? This is a really good level. And you can just listen and see all those TIEs just vanishing. In practice today, I cleared out almost every TIE, and it was remarkable, and I still got killed by a TIE. Spent weeks trying to find the upgrade. I will frustrate you by pointing it out in 1 second, as soon as I get to a spot for it.
We must hurry. We need to hold out a little longer.
Alright, now we gotta get set up. Alright, silence for this one, because this is the hardest trick in the game. And it also saves the most time.
Ah! Orders, Red Leader. On those fighters. Copy that, Red Leader. Bombers coming. Point 03. We've got to take out those bombers. R5, try to lock down that stabilizer. Almost there.
Missed 2. Let's get him. Where's the last one?
One more to go.
Where is he? Ah, there he is. So, done properly, you get them all in one cycle. I missed shots on 2 of them. They were a little bit imprecise. If you hit the wings, they don't take as much damage, and so you gotta hit right in the middle of their back. That's still pretty fast. If you do it really, really well, it's just over in an instant. The setup there is to time it so that you void out right as you're turning around, and it works out pretty well. Get right behind them, and then you just gotta regulate your speed. So now, we're gonna crash, and we're gonna win. So line everything up perfectly, crash, and then we instantly defeat the Star Destroyers. This works with almost every ship, but not every ship. That's one. We're going to take a nice wide line, make sure we have enough time. This works because the Star Destroyers are still moving forward, and so they move forward into our explosion hitbox, which lingers in space.
Watch out, she's gonna blow.
Alright, and that's it. That's the level. Now we just have to not die, so I'm going to go fly around for a little bit.
Keep on those fighters. I'm on it, Red Leader.
Majestic beauty of space. How's everyone doing today? How are we enjoying the marathon? We excited to see Strike at the Core, the level that gave everyone trouble when they were a kid, that I'm going to make look like an absolute joke, because the part that gave you the most trouble is essentially optional. Alright, and we're out.
The shield is down. Commence attack on the Death Star's main reactor.
Also, side note, the weird scream I heard during the Pie Bomber segment, I have never heard ever before in my life. I have no idea what that was. I guess that was one of my wingmen dying. I legitimately don't know what that sound effect was. As many times as I've played this game, casually and speedrunning it for 5 years now, I've never heard that sound before. Anyway, so everyone hates this level. They hate this level because they die. Or they, you know, just run into issues with not being able to cover the Millennium Falcon. Fun fact, you don't have to. All the game is checking for is that the Millennium Falcon is on the radar. So, see that green blip at the bottom part of my radar? That's Millennium Falcon. I win. That's it. You can't go max speed because then he goes off the bottom of the radar, so you just have to go a little bit under max speed. And then that's it. Once we get into the level, into the core proper, then it becomes a real level. But the first phase of this, it's not a real level. This is just a very simple, boring little auto-scroller. It defends itself well enough, it doesn't even check its health. The only thing it checks for is that it's on the map.
Now lock on to the strongest power source. It should
It's just that the issue is, when you're in the process of shooting everything, usually you get shot and die, or in the process of trying to preserve yourself and keep it on the map, it gets too far away. So that's the whole thing, is that it's all about ranges. So there's a little bit of optimization here, because you want to make sure that the new waves are spawning in on straightaways so that you can kill them, because you can't really shoot them reliably on curved sections of the path. That way you can spawn in the next group sooner. It's kind of this little balancing act of, you want to be able to shoot everything quickly, but you also want to be able to start moving ahead so that you can pass up the Millennium Falcon sooner. Like, if passing them up, I'm cool with passing them up here. That's not a big deal. Don't accidentally grab this power-up or your run's invalid. And you can pick it up when you're above the pipe.
There it is. Wait,
So the music changes in this room, which means that we can use an audio cue here.
Gold leader. I'm already on my
So you
way out.
just never full aggro and things are okay? Yeah, basically, but it's harder than it sounds. If you try to play the game legit from down there, there's a lot of turrets that fire at you, so it's really easy to just get shot a bunch and die. You won't fail the mission from that, but you only have 3 lives, so if the Falcon gets too far away, you lose. And if you die 3 times, you lose. So it's a blend of the two. So we're gonna do some what I like to call quick turns. You're gonna hear me open my wings, but you're not gonna hear me close my wings, because I'm actually gonna start closing them before they fully open, which is gonna give me enough of a maneuverability boost to make these turns, but basically not cost me any speed. Which is a really, really cool little mechanic. I'm actually going to take this one a little bit wider because I didn't like my angle there, and I don't want to redo this. And, you know, that's it. So, thank you all very much. I had a really good time. Recently, a good PB on this back in January. The game's undergone a lot of really, really cool stuff in the past few years. So, we're going to call that a 42-18. A really nice run. I'm having a great time. I thought that this was an absolutely splendid little trip through my favorite speedrun. There was some jank in there, but I think that's all part of the fun. And I'm really looking forward to seeing some more Rogue Squadron up very, very soon. So, take care, everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of the marathon. I'll be around checking it out. And I hope to see you again next year.
With its